Hello everyone, welcome back to my project playlist. In this project we are going to see 2 or 3 animation tricks that we can achieve using CSS and JavaScript. The first one is this one. Okay, it doesn't look particularly beautiful or whatever, but I invite you to try alone before watching the result how to achieve this, and you will see that it's quite more tricky than someone would expect. The second one, which is the second part of the video, is regarding real animation. For example, this one and this one. Very simple, but as always I invite you to try to do it before, then you see the result, especially for this one because is a few lines of code, but you might not arrive to the result. Okay, so let's get started with the first one. Of course, we have I have a div. I didn't particularly pay attention of which are the elements tag here, so I have a div. It should be a navbar, but it doesn't matter. And there are the A element inside, which we have an h1, h2, blah blah blah, and then the events that has to fire JavaScript. So on mouse over and on mouse out. Let's see the JavaScript. The JavaScript is very simple. We have these 2 functions, show and hide. When on show, the visibility is visible. On hide, the visibility becomes hidden. Of course, in the CSS, we start with visibility of hidden. You could achieve the same result by using display, none, or block. It works the same, but visibility means that the technically speaking, visibility doesn't remove the element from the page. It still occupies its own content. Display does remove. If the display is none, the element is not inside the DOM. Anyway, what I want to pay attention to, and maybe you have struggled because of it, as well as I did at the beginning. I didn't know why it wasn't working. Here I have a class of container, but the on mouse over event, which of course could be inside the JavaScript, or could be the add event listener, anyway, is on another div, which I placed with absolute positioning, the same exact position as the other one. So you can see here position absolute and left 60 viewport width, and even here left 60 viewport width. Then I give it a height and a width, so it has some space. And all this because otherwise, once an element is not visible, you cannot even interact with it. So you may have placed the same logic inside the container, and then nothing was working. The reason is simple: it doesn't work because once is display none or visible hidden, you cannot even touch it in a way, no? Okay, so this was the first project. Let's jump into the second one, which is the main argument of today. In the second part of our project, we will see how to style this animation and this one. I give you a hint of how to reproduce them. The first one can be achieved using pseudo elements. I'm not saying that there is another possibility, but I used pseudo elements. And this one, probably there are many ways to achieve it. Go and search what is a keyframe, and is the way to go. Okay? So let's get started with the first one. I said that we need a pseudo element in order to achieve our result. A pseudo element, what it is basically an element that we are creating related to another one. So in this case is before the A. It can be before, it can be after, it can be something else, but basically is or before or after. Every pseudo element has a content that in our case will be an empty string, because our pseudo element is a line, is not a text, but it could be a string, and let's write hello here and see what's the result, and this will clarify really what a pseudo element is in practice. You can see that every of our A has a hello before it, because it was written hello. If I wrote after, it will be after. In this case, I don't really care if it's before or after. You can use both, probably, because as I said, our element is a line. So let's define a width and a height to our line, so at least we can see it. So I define a width, a height, and a background color of red. And what's happening is that I don't see anything. The reason is that we have to define a position of absolute to our line, otherwise nothing will work. And nothing will work either unless I define for our A and our container a position of relative, because if it's another way, it will not work. But now, as you can see, we have our little block there, okay? And so we basically can style it as we want. I want it to be a bottom of minus something, and generally you will use absolute values because we are talking about very small pieces of our screen. So let's say minus 10 pixel. Okay, then our height is definitely too big. Okay, this is the way to go. Now I don't really want to care if what I'm doing is if the numbers that I'm using are correct or not. So we achieved our result. Of course, we need to give it a width of 100%, and here it is. The point is, okay, theoretically I could have used text underline, no? But now I can give the style as I want, and this could be up to a lot of lines of code. We could give it a linear gradient, everything we want. For example, in our case, we want to give it on hover. So right now I give it a width of 0%, so we don't see it. And I define, this is a little, gets messy. It gets messy written, I mean it's complicated CSS, but it has to be like this. Once you hover on our pseudo element, what will happen? Once you hover on the A, our pseudo element will get another width, and the result is achieved. Okay, no, is not achieved, and the reason is that we have, first of all, I need to give, I see a problem that is not really related, but is too big. You can see here, apart the transition, you see that is too big, the line, no? I want the line only to be, to end at the end of the letter of our navbar, and we can achieve it using width of max content on our A. Now our A is a width of max content, and it didn't yet make a good result. I don't know, basically I changed some CSS and it worked fine. I changed the order of some elements. Position was the last, then I placed at the first, and then the thing solved by himself. Concentrating ourselves on the important things, we need to add a transition here, because now is happening instantly and this is not what we want. We add a transition all, meaning that all the transition will happen in a specified time that could be 0.3 seconds. So in a third of a second we get our transition, and this is the end of the first animation. Pretty simple. Let's see the second one. I have here a P with a inside. I have is inside a div of para, and the second one is has an ID of sec, just to understand what I'm doing. So basically I have first ID para, second ID the sec. Then I don't know what about you. And here we have to use animation. Okay, the keyword is animation. The point is that you have to create your own animation, and this is keyframes. The concept of keyframes. Using a keyframe, we are going to create our animations. Now I want to remember you how were our animations. Okay, one was like this, the other is the same. It's not important that you have to do exactly the same. The importance is that you learn something about animations. So first of all, I call it bigger, and basically how it works is you can use the two keywords from and to. And here you specify what. So for example, from font size of 16 pixel, which is basically I think our font style, the basic font style, to font size of 18 pixel. This is how a keyframe works, because now we need a simple keyframe. Another way could be more complex. If you have to write more complex keyframes, is using percentages. So 0%, 100%, and or you could use 50% this, and then it moves on with 75%. Now we are creating simple animations, so we don't need to make things so articulated. And that's it. So we have our animation. There is a shortcut, so we see the different properties. An animation has a name, so we are saying we will use animation bigger. An animation has a duration, so we are going to perform our animation in 2 seconds. An animation have an iteration count, so we say how many times it will keep animating. In our case, infinite. It will not stop. It could be even one or multiple, I don't know. Animation have a delay time. In our case, we don't want to use it, but of course there is. Have a direction, and in our case we are not moving anything somewhere else, so we don't care. Of course there are many different possibilities. An animation have a fill mode. This is another possibility that is important, And fill mode, it can be backward, both, forward. This is important because it defines where to start and where to end. We will not really understand it because our animation, I should create a more simple to understand animation. Anyway, is the default value for us is okay. And then we have animation timing function, which is the famous and not used cubic Bezier function. Basically, what you have to choose is to use is in, is out, or linear. It defines how it goes, the animation. Very things that you have to study in another situation, so to say. The default is. So it goes faster, then it slows down, and then it's fast. We will see it now. Anyway, since we are not writing important animation, we can write a shortcut that says name, timing, and then basically you can write everything you want in each order. It will take each order you want, and so these two are the same. You can even define a delay time. Is just the second time number that you write will be considered as the delay time, and that's it pretty much. Okay, so these two sentences are the same, are identical. And now this was the one. Okay, so there is something wrong. Yes, I agree. First of all, I have to use hover, otherwise it's just starts, and it's not what I want. And then we have to let's see the result now. Okay, we are almost there. There is, if you don't know many keywords, we could work on the percentages. For example, just to show you, I could say 0 and 100% is here, and 50% is here. It works. Okay, it works, but the easiest solution isn't this one. There is a possibility to define which way it goes the animation by using alternate, reverse, reverse, other stuff, alternate, reverse, blah blah blah. So alternate will say keep going, no, from one moment to the other. Keep going. Also before the speed was doubled, no, because anyway, this is pretty much understandable. And the same, I wanted to the same result is with another keyframe that I wanted to show, bigger 2, let's call it, but in this case we can use transform. At least this is what I did before, and so I wanted to show you. Scale, and we define a scale of 1, and then 100% a scale of a little more. And as you can see, the animations are different than the two animations are different. So you just need to play with animations and try to achieve the best results. Anyway, this was the lesson, and probably in the followings we will see more animations like this and other stuff with JavaScript and CSS.